for this piece, just because I want to make sure you all know that anytime we have information that I share or opinions that are expressed on any of the programs or any of the Zooms that we do, or any of the speakers, or even in written form, it's just intended to address specific questions that are asked and people's situations described on the program, and they're not designed to constitute a complete and professional advice or even recommendations, okay? That we should not just rely on this Zoom, even though there is a lot of resources, or even any specific content that you're gathering, that you need a wide variety, including a good professional helping you in this journey. So I hope that's helpful. I hope tonight will be helpful. I think it will be. And I'm just going to say hello to everybody. So hi, Rika. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi there. Oh, did you say Lisa?
Yeah.
No, I
Oh,
said
Rika.
Rika.
It's okay. Hi there.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And I'm going to just to say again, hi, Sheila. Glad to have us tonight. And Lola, thrilled you're back on. Welcome. Glad to see you. Lisa.
Hi.
Hello, Lisa.
Good to see you.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Well, I'm glad you turned me on to that wonderful resource you sent out at the end of
The Harvard. I
week.
have enjoyed the Harvard exercise program. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only done
Oh.
one because I'm busy right now, but I've only not the exercise, but the Harvard Health Plan thing that you
Ah.
sent. Yeah, I love that. I love the research. Anyway, thank you and welcome. And we're going to end up talking at the end after Betty talks tonight. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to say hi to Amy. Hello, Amy. Welcome to you. Glad to see you. Yeah. And I'm really glad you're here, Gail. Welcome,
Hi, Shelley.
Gail.
Hi, everybody.
Great to have you with us. Great to see you. And Marissa, I saw your face a minute ago.
Hey, Shelley. Hi, everyone.
I
Yes,
know.
I'm on a walk. I'm trying to get a walk in before it gets dark.
Do that,
Okay.
okay? You're fine. You're
Thanks.
fine. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
here. Yeah. We want to welcome Rona. You don't have to show your face, Rona. She said she wouldn't be able to do that. Don't worry. And Pat, welcome to you. I hope you can hear us. We are on and talking. Oh no, you're not on. Okay, okay. Anyway, welcome. I think Jane is on. Is that you, Jane?
Yep.
On the iPad 7?
Yep.
Is that Jane Grasso?
Yes.
Jane, I would love you in a second. Let me just say hello to Susan too. But I'd love you to share about what Dr. Yu shared with you before Betty begins. Would you do that so that I make sure people hear it? And then I want you to do it at the end also. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And Susan, welcome to you. Susan, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Hi.
Nice to see you. Welcome. Glad you made it.
Thank you. Me too.
So is everybody, we're going to do our program the way we normally do. Hi, Pat. Welcome to you. And I just want to say before we start that we're going to have Jane share a little bit about the wonderful offer that Dr. Yu gave us before we introduced Betty. And thank you, Betty, for your patience. I forgot to tell you that the first 5 or 10 minutes, we usually do some other things too. So Jane, would you mind just sharing that? That'll be the last thing before we speak. Jane?
Yep.
Yeah, could you share about Dr. Yu's offer?
I'm
please?
sorry, excuse me?
Could you share about Dr. Yu's?
Oh, sure. Let me just pull that information up.
Yeah.
Okay, she's interested in a virtual focus group to discuss thoughts, opinions, and hopes for our new osteoporosis medications. They're designing new osteoporosis research at Mass General. And that's where she's a doctor. And this would be an opportunity to have patients let us know what's most important to them for future research directions. So I need to let her know who's interested.
Okay, so we did send that out, and thank you, Jane, for that. Dr. I think Jane had asked if she would speak because she does do some research and is involved. And she said, how about this instead? And she's looking for us to get feedback about how we feel about this. I think it's a really great opportunity. If you're interested, after the call, if you can email me, and then I'll forward everybody to Jane, probably tomorrow. So, okay. And
Sounds good.
some of you did already. So if you already did, I have it. But if you didn't already volunteer to be part of that and you'd like to, let us know. Okay.
Yeah, she told me in the message she sent me today on the portal that I should be hearing from, because I said I was interested, that a message I should be hearing from a certain, she gave me a name. So I think it's not that we're going to send in information right away, that they're going to be asking us stuff and then we'll contribute from there.
That's really great. I'm really kind of looking forward to it. That's great. Okay, well, anyway, I'd love to introduce Betty Gilpatric, and Betty and I go back into another life together, and we've known each other many years. But Betty, in the transition between the two, she began practicing Qigong in 2013 after reading an article in the local magazine about a 94-year-old. I'm going to move this article over here so I can look straight. Okay. Qigong master Quan Sai, at the time she was looking for ways to address some health issues that she had that included a loss of balance due to severe sinus infection, as well as heart palpitations and anxiety. Qigong has been a lifesaver. When she retired, after 37 years of her career, she decided to get certified to teach the practice that has helped her so much. She studied Qigong with Paul Bloom for 7 years and Tai Chi Master Yang Yang for certified by the Center for Tai Chi Qigong Studies, and is currently teaching classes in both regularly on Zoom. Betty lives in Kingston, New York with her husband, Jim, who is a New York State Supreme Court judge. She is 71 years old, and you wouldn't believe it when you look at her. And she says she has the energy, physical strength, and calm mind she had when she was much younger. And so, thank you, Betty Gilpatric, for joining us tonight. And I'm excited to have you.
Well, I'm excited to be here. First of all, can everyone hear me clearly? Yes? Yes? Yep. Okay. And can you see me clearly? Because I'm trying to get that light that's behind me, so it doesn't look like I have a halo or anything. I really don't. And I want to thank you, Shelley, for this invitation. I feel honored that you asked me to speak to this group of wonderful women. And I thank all of you who chose to spend your next hour or two here listening. And I want to say ahead of time that I know you've heard a lot already as being part of this group. And some of what I talk about may be redundant. You may have heard it before, but I think it may come from a slightly different perspective, and sometimes a different perspective can help us add tools and methods that can really contribute to our healing. We're really going to talk about the body-mind connection, or rather the mind-body connection, because whenever we're dealing with a chronic condition, such as osteoporosis, or in my case, heart palpitations, anxiety, and other disorders, we really have to look not just at the physical, but at the mental and the emotional components of whatever it is that we're dealing with. I have a little experience with osteoporosis. I was diagnosed with osteopenia when I was 50 years old. I'm 71 now. And for the last 7 years that I've been practicing Qigong, of course, I've continued with my regular bone density scans, etc. And essentially my osteopenia has not progressed. And that dates from the time that I started practicing Qigong. Also I have a 102-year-old great aunt who has osteoporosis, and she's living well, and, you know, definitely she has some limitations because of her osteoporosis, but honestly and realistically, she is well. And I think that so much of our wellness has to do with that mind-body connection. So we're going to talk about these kinds of chronic health conditions, or actually talk about our wellness from an energy perspective. And that's a bit Eastern philosophy. So much of what I share comes from traditional Chinese medicine. And the information that I have to share with you is information that I've personally collected out of personal need, and is not, obviously, I'm not a doctor of any kind. So what I share with you is just what I have learned from my personal experience with, with dealing with heart palpitations, heart disease, and anxiety. So we'll touch on the mental, emotional, and physical components of wellness, and the connections between them. So I'm sure you're going to hear some things that you've heard before, but I hope you'll bear with me and just look from a different perspective, so that we can add some tools and ways to heal ourselves, and also to help our medications heal us. Because I'm going to tell you a little personal story about that a little bit later on. So to begin with, the most important concept that I'm going to share with you tonight, really, if you just simply take this to heart, all of the rest is not quite as important as just this one statement. And that is, where attention goes, energy flows. So where the mind goes, in your thoughts, your images, your words, even, that's where your energy flows. That's where your physical energy flows. And of course, it generates emotions and sets off a cascade of reactions in your body. So years ago, I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And one of the statements in that book that impacted me and has stuck with me is that what you think about, you bring about. And when I read the book, it was written in the 30s or the 40s, I think. I read the book in about the 80s. And I got it, mentally, I got it. But honestly, I didn't get it until about 10 years ago. Okay, so the mental, emotional, and physical aspects, components of anything we're dealing with are just inextricably entwined. Thoughts literally become things. So here's an example. You receive a medical diagnosis, whatever it is, it's upsetting, and your brain already has a negative bias. So what's the first thought process that goes through your mind when you get that diagnosis? It's, what if I blank? You fill in the blank. In my case, heart palpitations, anxiety, didn't know if I was having a heart attack or what was happening to me. So my first thought was, what if I'm having a heart attack? What if I can't live my life the way I have been living it? What if I can't live my life? What if I can't support myself? What if I can't take care of myself? So that negative bias in my brain translates to all of these thoughts. And of course, that generates emotion. And for me, the emotion it generated was just abject terror, fear, panic, anxiety. I mean, all of it. And then, of course, once that, emotion gets involved, then the body reacts to the emotion. The autonomic nervous system is there designed to help us survive. And it goes straight into action as soon as that, that fear, anxiety, anger, whatever it is. As soon as that emotion, that negative emotion appears, then our body works to protect us. More than likely, you'll hold your breath. When you hear bad news, what do? We automatically go, and we hold our breath. And even though we might we obviously will let the breath out because our body won't let us stop breathing, we start to breathe in a very shallow way up here, not down in the belly. And once that happens, the brain or the body starts to react to the lack of enough oxygen. And so the sympathetic part of the nervous system goes into goes into flight, fight, or freeze. It's reactive. It's designed to help us survive. So all other body systems that are not necessary simply shut down, like the digestive system shuts down, our muscles get tense, our pupils dilate, our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate increases, and those are just a few of the things that happen. Most importantly for us, when we're discussing our physical health, our wellness, our osteoporosis, or another condition, is that we produce adrenaline and cortisol. And that dumps into our blood flow, into our system. And there's an enormous depletion of energy. In other words, it's all hands on deck. Everything that we physically need to fight, flee, or unfortunately, in my case, freeze, is there. So generally, when the threat is over, you breathe more deeply, you let out your breath, you breathe a little more deeply, things start to calm down, your systems, all the other systems that were on pause, start up again. And the parasympathetic side of the autonomic nervous system takes over. And that's the rest, restore, repair, calm, conserve energy side. It's the responsive side. The responsive side of the nervous system helps us to thrive. The sympathetic side helps us to survive, but it's the parasympathetic that helps us to thrive. Unfortunately, that's normally what happens. We have the threat. When the threat is over, we go into the parasympathetic mode and everything goes back to quote unquote normal. But unfortunately, when an individual like myself or yourself experiences more stress than the system can handle, and a lot of times I realize like that stress for me, it's perceived. Like I will see the threat of a squirrel like it was a bear. All right. So I think that our brain kind of enhances it blows it up, blows it out of proportion. But even so, even if it's simply stress that your system cannot handle, or, we suffer repeated or prolonged stresses, the autonomic nervous system becomes dysregulated. And that was what I was suffering from. Dysregulated autonomic nervous system, always in fight, flight, or freeze. Always enormous amounts of cortisol and adrenaline going through my system, meaning I couldn't sleep. My heart palpitations were, causing panic attacks. I don't think I probably need to go further to tell you what a dysregulated autonomic nervous system can feel like, because I think probably some of you anyway have felt it. So attention, which is mainly our thoughts and the images created by our thoughts and the emotions that are then generated, stir up our autonomic nervous system, and a cascade of mostly negative reactions happen in the body. So let's bring traditional Chinese medicine and the practice of Qigong into this conversation. And we'll make it a little bit more specific about osteoporosis because traditional Chinese medicine has a very specific view of it. So according to traditional Chinese medicine, we have three treasures. The first is Shun, which is our spirit, our mental ability, our thinking ability. The second is Qi, which is our energy. It's basically our emotions. And third is Jing, which is our life essence, our life force. It's what we were born with. We got it from our parents. And according to the Chinese philosophy, it resides in our kidneys. So Jing resides in our kidneys. And that means that that energy that we're born with, it's finite. You know, we only have so much of it. We cannot increase it, but we can conserve it, preserve it, cultivate it, or deplete it. It peaks in our 20s, and then it begins to decline, but no worries, you still have plenty of Jing, so don't freak out on me. You still have plenty. But you can think of it as an energy bank account. So you're born with a finite amount of life essence, consider it an energy bank account, and everything that you do, think, eat, everything either depletes the energy bank account or it preserves, conserves, and strengthens that energy bank account. So let me just share with you a little bit about the kidneys, according to traditional Chinese medicine. So the kidneys govern the number one thing is bone growth, bone strength. Also controls brain function, our fertility and reproductive organs, our mental and spiritual health, our teeth, our hair, our hearing, all our body fluids, and our sexual energy. So the kidneys and their partner organs, which are the adrenal glands and the urinary bladder, govern all of those aspects of our physical body, physical health. And there are certain symptoms that are associated with kidney energy that's been weakened or depleted. And that's mainly, you know, as I said, some of the things that we think and do, et cetera. But the number one symptom is osteoporosis. Also premature aging, memory problems, lower back pain, chronic or acute, knee pain and weakness, urinary, reproductive, or cardiac dysfunction. So I don't know if you're hearing me, you know, this is kind of a description of my status when I encountered some of this information. Anxiety and panic attacks, high blood pressure or occipital headaches, hearing loss, tinnitus, and ear infections. And I've pretty much had almost all of those symptoms. So those are the things that the kidney or water element energy govern, and some of the symptoms when the energy's been weakened. The negative emotion of the kidneys is fear. So, you know, when we talk about getting a diagnosis that frightens us, it's automatically going to have an emotional impact on the kidneys, the seat of our life essence. So I'm going to just read something to you about that. Fear is the emotion associated with the water element. In a healthy way, fear is an emotion that moves and directs us to remain alert and attentive to our surroundings and situation. When confronted with danger, constructive fear can guide us with a message of caution and restraint and fill us with a sense of readiness and courage to face whatever situation might present itself. When water element is out of balance, fear becomes an obstacle to movement. It might manifest as chronic anxiety or an intense phobia. But in either case, it often signifies a deficiency in the water energy and a corresponding lack of grounding, causing the energy to be trapped in the chest. Physiologically, fear increases adrenaline production, which accelerates the heart rate, and we begin to perspire, our muscles tighten, and we hold our breath. These physical reactions feed our fear and create a vicious cycle. So in traditional Chinese medicine, generally, if there is an issue of health, we will first look at what is the negative emotion associated. And if that negative emotion is primarily fear, that will direct us mostly to kidney energy. Each organ has a negative emotion associated with it, but it also has a positive virtue, it's called. And the positive virtue of the kidneys is wisdom and courage. So in other words, we feel fear to protect us. And then we use our wisdom and our courage to not just survive a situation, but thrive in that situation. And according to Chinese medicine, it's not the emotion itself that causes the problem. It's the failure to acknowledge the emotion, or the tendency to suppress the emotion or run away from it. That was how I dealt with my fear and anxiety. Is I overate, I overworked, I tried to put a positive spin over top of it. I did almost anything I could not to feel that fear. And so, of course, I never acknowledged it, never expressed it, and it basically depleted my energy bank account. So it's the failure to acknowledge the emotion or the situation that causes the, let's say, the lack of wellness. So here's an example. This is, I kind of really already gave you this, but I'm going to expand on it a little bit. I got that diagnosis of heart palpitations and, a certain type of tendency toward a heart disease that had already affected many members of my family, including my mom. And so, my first reaction was, what if I have a heart attack? I won't be able to take care of myself. I won't be able to live my life. I won't be able to do what I used to be able to do. And then I got angry. I was angry at my body. I felt like it was letting me down, and I had, to my best of my ability, been doing all the right things, I thought. And then the next thing that happened was I started to lose confidence in myself, in my body, in my ability to, keep my word, follow through, be able to do the things that I had promised people I would do, and, to fulfill my dreams. And so my confidence really started to suffer. And so anxiety and worry just took over, and I obsessively worried about these things. And as I said, I tried very hard to, make those feelings go away, to run away from them, suppress them. And guess what happened? The heart palpitations grew worse and worse. The medication that had worked stopped working or didn't work as well. And so there I was, right? So from an energetic standpoint, what do we do, or how do we heal? How did I heal from that situation? How can you heal from the conditions that disturb you? Well, there are three ways, obviously. We have to attack the mental, the emotional, and the physical components. And the intervention begins in the mental, because that's where, that's where the problem or the goodness begins. It begins with the thought process, where attention goes, energy flows. So I have to start to become aware of my thoughts. I have to be aware of what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, and ask myself, where's that energy going? Am I conserving energy, or am I depleting my energy? What's happening to my energy bank account based on where my attention is going. And then secondly, I have to look at the emotional. I have to ask myself, what am I feeling? Because of those thoughts, because of that attention, what am I feeling? And I have to acknowledge it and express it and ask myself why I'm feeling that way. And then find a way to express that emotion appropriately. So if it's anger, I don't want to be like attacking someone. Usually it's somebody I love, so I don't want to do that. If it's fear, I have to usually talk about it. I have to invite it in, instead of running away from it. I have to really look at it and really acknowledge it and talk to somebody. Usually for me, I have to talk to somebody else about it. Once I do that, that emotional component just doesn't have the same charge that it had when I was keeping it to myself. And then last but not least, of course, is the physical. What do we do in a physical level to support changes that we make on the mental level and the emotional level? And, thereby moving ourselves from, an autonomic nervous system that's always in fight or flight to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to help us restore our wellness, restore and strengthen our energy, bring our mind to a calm state where we can make good decisions, where we can make good choices, where we can adopt a lifestyle that helps us to thrive. Let's see, I want to read a few things to you. Just hold on, let me get organized since I get talking and then I'm a little bit off track here. The first thing, when we talk about the physical, we have to reset the autonomic nervous system. And there are very, very simple, easy ways to do that, to shift from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic rest and restore. And they're all breath work. And since we all breathe, it's really easy to adopt a breath practice that will help you to, in the moment, shift from one to the other, and on a daily basis to maintain that shift. So that's an important part of it. The second part is, diet. And of course, I know you've heard a lot already about nutrition related to osteoporosis. I will only say one thing about that. According to traditional Chinese medicine, osteoporosis is not a lack of calcium. It is too much acid, too much acidity in the body. And that acidity leaches calcium from our bones and I guess other organs as well. So the foundation of human life, this is a quote from the Complete Book of Chinese Healing. The foundation of human life is rooted in nutrition. You are what you eat, how well you feel, how clearly you think, how successfully you adapt to your internal and external environments are all directly related to the sorts of energies you unleash in your system through your dietary habits. One thing that struck me, and after this meeting, if you're interested, I have a lot of printed information that I can send to you, and including foods that support strong kidney energy, etc. But one of the last things that really struck me and really helped me to understand the connection for me was the key to kidney balance is salt. Craving salt. I think I was born craving salt. Anyway, choose sea salt over table salt, and just remember that that craving is a sign of a need that your kidney has to fill on a dietary level. Next is exercising regularly, and that means different things to different people. I'm really only going to talk about the in the moment exercise that helps to calm your system, the 10-minute daily exercise that I do, that is breath work. And I'm going to suggest that you develop a 20-minute 2 or 3 times a week, even up to daily practice of movement, because that's an important part of exercise. Sleep is important, 7 to 8 hours a night, and always in bed before midnight. That was something I had a little struggle with. Drinking 4 to 6 8-ounce glasses of water every day, not ice water, room temperature water. Maintaining a calm mind and balanced emotions, and we're going to talk a bit about meditation. And keeping your kidneys warm. I know that sounds strange, but you don't want to get a chill in your lower back, so keep your kidneys warm. Last thing is, anything you eat, all your meals should be consumed by 7:30 p.m. This is all traditional Chinese medicine recommendations. Okay, so intervention begins with the mind. So I'm going to give you an energy healing checklist. I hope you like lists, that I do. Okay, so number 1 is finding balance in what you're thinking. We have to overcome the brain's negative bias. I don't know what the actual number is, but let's say if you have 10,000 thoughts a day, 9,500 are negative. It's not that, but it's overwhelming negative in our thoughts. So we have to overcome the brain's negative bias. And one of the ways to do that is to, if your mind goes automatically to the worst case scenario, right? I have this disease and I'm going to experience whatever, then we have to be aware of that. And we also have to paint the best case scenario. So in my case, the worst case scenario was that I would develop atrial fibrillation and die of vascular dementia like my mother did. That's the worst case scenario. So if I have to paint the best case, I can say, I have discovered this at this stage of my life, which was much earlier than my mother's. There are interventions, there are medications, and I can physically do things to help myself, and it will improve my life. So that's the best case scenario. And I have to actually forcibly make myself go from that worst case thought to the best case thought. That's the first and most important intervention that I could make, that you could make. Second is to learn that you don't have to believe everything you think. That may seem simple to you, but it wasn't to me. The next is, to remember that saying, what you think about, you bring about. What you say for you is true for you. Be careful about what you say about your health. And I don't mean to be Pollyanna or ignore the reality. I just mean that there are different ways of expressing oneself. I have a very good friend. She's 86 years old. She practices Qigong every day. She has COPD. She has osteoporosis. And she has some kidney disease. And she fell. She fell yesterday. She didn't hurt herself, thankfully, it's just a little bruising. But she said to me, I always tell myself, Emily, you will not fall. And I said, let's change your language a little bit, right? So your brain is sitting here, hearing you say, you will not fall. And the brain doesn't see the not part. It just makes an image of falling, right? So I said to her, how about you say, I always stay on my feet. I always stay in balance and on my feet, which paints a different image for your brain. And it makes it much easier for your brain to follow that instruction. And it certainly has a better outcome than the previous thing. Okay. And the last thing under this heading of balancing what you're thinking is to learn to name your emotion, whatever it is you're feeling, to name it without judging it. I judged myself terribly because I was afraid, because I was being ruled by fear. And I judged myself horribly and very harshly because of that. So, being able to name the emotion without judgment. You are not your fear. You're not your anger. You're not your sadness. They're not permanent conditions. If you can look them in the face and acknowledge them, they will go away. They're just energy like everything else. And last but not least is just always ask yourself the question, am I preserving or depleting my energy bank account? By what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, am I preserving or am I depleting my energy bank account? So that's all under, number one, finding a balance in what you're thinking. Number two is to address mindfulness. And that's a term that gets, thrown around a lot these days. All it means is come into the present. Be where your feet are. I imagine that some of you sitting here listening, your mind is also wandering out there, right? Thinking about, oh, it's getting late, or I have to make dinner, or the laundry's not done, or I have to go to work tomorrow, or, right? Even when you're listening to something like this that you're interested in, your mind can still be wandering. Mindfulness means bringing your mind to the present. In the present, generally, if you ask yourself, am I okay? Right now in this moment, are you okay? Yes, right? Yes, even if you've had a frightening diagnosis, but right now, this moment, you're okay. If you let your mind go into the future, into the what if, you won't be okay for very long, right? So here's some ways that you can quickly bring yourself back to the present when you realize that you've wandered off and your monkey mind is going all over the place, depleting your energy. One is to just look around the room you're in and name 5 things. I see the couch, I see the TV, I see the floor, I see, whatever, naming 5 things that are right in the room that you can see. The next is to breathe, because you've probably started to breathe very shallowly. So you want to take a nice deep breath in to a count of 5 and a slow breath out to a count of 8. And your autonomic nervous system will immediately shift gears and bring you into the present. You can use your senses. What can I smell? What can I touch? What can I taste? What can I hear? What can I see? And these are things that you have to practice daily. It's like, I can be really good today, and tomorrow I can just be monkey mind everywhere. So it's a practice that I have to use every day. Meditation helps a lot with that too. Number 3 is letting go of what you can't control. Much easier said than done, right? So I use this serenity prayer. I don't know if you're religious or not, it doesn't really matter, but give me the wisdom that give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. From a Chinese medicine perspective, that's very kidney talk. Number 4 is having compassion for yourself and others. And that's something, I touched on a little bit before about how harshly I judged myself for the way I was feeling, how harshly I judged my body because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And, having compassion for yourself and for others, letting go of perfectionism. That was one of the biggest issues for me. That, if I had this disease, I couldn't be perfect. I couldn't do everything that I thought I needed to do to be perfect. Number 5 is about something called abiding truths. My Tai Chi teacher always shares abiding truths from Chinese philosophers and from his grandmother. So I'm going to give you one of them. It's my favorite. And it's just simple. It says, a thunderstorm will not last the whole day. And it's a reminder to me that this too shall pass. Even if my disease does not have a cure, the intensity of the initial confronting of that will pass. The way I feel about it will lessen in intensity. It will pass. And on the other side of things, I have to savor the good moments because I have a brain that has a negative bias. And if I want to train my brain to be more constructive, to be more positive, to have memories of well-being that I can go to when I'm not feeling so good, I have to savor it. When I have a good moment, I have to be mindful of it and savor that moment and remember it. So, because it won't last either, right? A thunderstorm will not last the whole day, means a bad thing won't last forever, and neither will the good thing. And one thing he also always said that helped me was, your body has the ability to heal itself. And I believe that. And I hope you will believe that too. There's just two more. Number 6 is giving it meaning. So, I can have an upsetting diagnosis and I give a meaning to that. I can make it mean that my life is changed forever, that it will never be good again, that I will not be able to live my life the way I want to, or I can give it the meaning that this is a blessing, that what I learn from this will make my life better and will help me to share with others and help them make their lives better. That I have an opportunity to reset the direction I'm going in. Because sometimes, we just get into a direction that's not good for us. We know it isn't, but life goes on, right? And we feel like we have to keep going instead of stopping, taking a breath and reset. And I think that's such a powerful meaning to give to any health challenge that you have. So give it a positive meaning, a meaning that you will look forward to seeing that outcome. And last but not least is gratitude. And it's real hard to be grateful when you've had a bad diagnosis. It's real hard to be grateful. It's real hard to be grateful when, your heart palpitations are going crazy and you can't sleep, or you've fallen and had a break, or I don't know, whatever, you fill in the blank. But there are 7 scientifically proven benefits of developing a gratitude practice. I'm going to read them to you because I don't want to forget any of them. Number 1, it opens the door to more and better relationships. Gratitude improves your physical health, improves your psychological health, improves your sleep, improves your self-esteem, increases your mental strength, and changes your focus. And when we talk about where attention goes, energy flows, what do we have to do? We have to change our focus. If my mind has gone to that worst case scenario, how do I go to the best case? I can be grateful. I can be grateful that I have a good doctor, that I have medication, that I have friends I can talk to, that I have my body still moves and works, even though I have to be cautious. I can find the gratitude which will help me change my focus. And the 2 best ways I can give you, and I share these with everyone. The first thing is a gratitude list. And I know you've probably heard that before, but I do it with a group of 10 friends. Each day we have a group text, and we text at least 5 things that we're grateful for. We don't respond to each other's. It just forces me to look at what I have and not at what I don't have. And having done that for about 3 years now, I think I was a relatively negative person. That's how I grew up. It's what my thinking was trained to by my environment, by my family. And I really feel like the 3 years of practicing gratitude in public, in the sense of that I felt responsible for doing what I had committed to do, has really changed me dramatically. And then the other one is if I can't sleep at night or I wake up and I can't get back to sleep, which happens, I practice the ABCs of gratitude. So I start with A and I think of something that starts with A that I'm grateful for. And then I go to B and then C and then D. And I never make it past maybe K or L or M before I fall asleep. Sometimes I start at the end at Z because I never get to those letters usually. Anyway, so 2 practices of gratitude that can really help. Would you like to, well, I would like to do something physically with you. And you don't have to do it with me. You can just watch me. But it would be good if you could do it with me. Okay. So let me just talk about exercise, because we have touched on it as part of lifestyle that can really help improve your physical health. But I'm going to talk about it strictly from the point of view of having an exercise in the moment that you're upset, that can help you switch from, go from the worst case back to the best case, or switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic quickly. The second one is like a 10-minute daily meditation that I do in the morning. And by meditation, it's just training your mind to focus. That's all meditation is. And I know that, some people feel uncomfortable about it. I resisted it like it was life or death. My Qigong teacher always encouraged me to add meditation, that it would enhance my practice. It would enhance my wellness. It would help me calm my mind. I mean, he didn't give up on me. But I resisted it for a long while until, I developed heart palpitations. And then I really had to find ways to calm myself. So the meditations I'm going to, do with you are really breath meditations. So they're easy. And then the last thing is kidney specific. So I do have 2 exercises that you can use very easily first thing in the morning while you're still in bed to strengthen your kidneys. So are you up for it? Yeah? Okay. All right. So you can just watch, or you can do with me. And I'm going to switch my camera to my my TV. So give me just a second. Okay. So everyone can see me, right? Yes? Okay. Get a little closer. Let me go here. Back here. Okay. So the first one is for in the moment when you're upset and you don't want to keep going in that direction. You want to release the upset and shift gears back into energy conservation, energy strengthening. It's called washing the organs. So your feet are shoulder width apart. Your toes are just very slightly turned out. You let your tailbone relax. Just take a breath and just let it relax. Your knees are unlocked. Gently lift your shoulders, roll them back and down. And so on a count of 5, we're going to inhale. So we inhale. And now on a count of 8, we're going to exhale. Inhale. One more, inhale. Exhale slowly, 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 slowly. And if you're still not feeling calm, then you can do 2 or 3 or 10 more times. And what we're doing, we're inhaling, we're gathering universal energy, healthy, vibrant energy. And then we're exhaling and washing out through the balls of our feet all the tension in the body. We're drawing in new energy, we're drawing in wisdom and courage, and we're releasing fear and fright. Okay, so that's quick, in the moment, reset everything. Okay, the next one is, it's a breathing meditation. I just need to find my phone. So it can be done seated, standing, or lying down on the floor. And what you're doing is you're listening to chimes, you're listening to bells, and you're coordinating your breath with the bells. So on the inhale, you hear the high tone, you inhale, the low tone, you exhale. You do 25 breaths, and that's what we're going to do. Okay. So first, let me get the sound. Which sometimes goes and sometimes doesn't. Okay. I don't know, can you hear? Okay. So you're standing, feet are shoulder width, your toes are slightly turned out, your knees are unlocked, tailbone is soft, your shoulders are relaxed. You're imagining you're 2 inches taller. You imagine you're standing or sitting or lying down in water. If you like, you can bring your arms up as though you're hugging a big tree, trunk of a big tree. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. It may take a little bit of time to be able to regulate your breath this way. Be patient. Eyes can be open or closed. You can count the breath if that helps you. Lower your arms a little bit. Once more. Lower your arms, completely imagine your fingers growing roots into the earth. Now raise your arms, imagining your fingertips growing to touch the ceiling. Lower your arms and plant your fingertips into the earth. Wash the organs. Still using the chimes. Inhale. Wisdom and courage. Exhale fear and fright. One more. That was 5 minutes of coherence breathing. I'll give you a resource for that. But coherence breath as a practice restores the body to the parasympathetic. It slows the heart rate. It causes all of the systems in the body to be synchronized, improves your sleep, reduces anxiety. It's an amazing practice. Last thing is going to be kidney specific. Okay. So if you're seated already, great. If you're not, you'll find a chair to sit. And take off your shoes if you can, easily. And I'm going to show you on the palm of my hand because it's hard for me to get my foot up there so you can see it. So the major kidney point is on the bottom of your foot. And so imagine that these are the balls of your feet right here. So the kidney point is right in the center under the balls of the feet. It's called the bubbling well. And that is the point that we're going to stimulate. We're first going to stimulate by massaging with your thumb, and then we're going to stimulate by slapping it with our hand. Okay, so the fire point is in the center of the palm. We're going to slap the water point with the fire point. Okay, so first we're going to start on the left side. So bring your left foot up and just put your thumb right below the balls of your feet, right in the center, and just massage. Use as much pressure as you can stand, right? I mean, like, don't go overboard. It may feel tender. It probably will. So you're just going to move your thumb in a circle, pressing, massaging that point. And how many times, it doesn't matter, but just make sure you go in both directions. So if you started out counterclockwise, make sure you finish by going clockwise. I usually do 18 in each direction. Okay, and then when you finish, again, you're gonna like hold your foot or hold your ankle, and then you're gonna use what's gonna look like your right hand. I have you have your left leg, you're gonna use your right hand to slap. So you're using the center point of your hand. You're gonna slap 36 times, and I mean really slap. Don't be weenie about this, right? Okay. So you stimulated your left kidney. Now you're going to go to your right kidney. First, you're going to place your thumb right below the balls of the feet, right in the center, and massage. So let's say 18 times in one direction. And then reverse. And then slap. 36. My first Qigong teacher was a Chinese master. He was in his 90s when I met him, and he recommended that we do this 300 times, first thing in the morning and before we went to bed at night. Of course, I've never done 300. Well, maybe not, maybe once. But you know, use 36 or some combination. So maybe 72 or 100 and whatever double is, I don't know. Some multiple of 36, okay? So you can do that first thing in the morning. I do that first thing in the morning before I get out of bed, or when I first get out of bed, and the last thing before I go to bed at night. Very easy. So I've given you 3 easy ways to start to change that, where your energy is going, right? Where your attention is taking your energy. Ways that you can start to strengthen, cultivate, preserve that precious treasure of Jing, of life force, and learn how to stop depleting it, really, or learn how to stop depleting it. The last thing as far as exercise is concerned is to have some kind of a regular exercise practice. It can be anything, but to make sure that your exercise is balanced between impact, like maybe running, or I don't know. I think of running right away because of the impact on, on the surface that you're running, and strengthening and lengthening. So you want to have both in your exercise. I highly recommend Qigong, Tai Chi primarily, but also yoga. And I imagine you may already have other practices. Just make sure your exercise is balanced so that you have yin and yang, right? Anyway, thank you. And that's what I have for you tonight.
Awesome job, Betty. Thank you so much. I think that was really enjoyable and so informative. And I'd like to ask you if anybody would like to ask Betty a question right now. You can unmute yourselves.
I have one. So I'm new to this, to the diagnosis, and trying to figure out what this all means. And one thing I've learned from Googling is that you can't do yoga the way everybody else can do yoga, or you shouldn't do certain things. And so I'm not familiar with, is it Qigong?
Qigong, yes.
So is there anything in that practice that people with osteoporosis need to not do, or can you do anything?
I would say that you can do anything in Qigong practice, though you may have to modify some things. And so you need to do it with a certified teacher who knows what they're doing. You're much less likely to run into a problem with Qigong. You may have some issues with yoga, certain types of yoga. But Qigong is really well recommended for strengthening your bones, but doing it in a way that is not going to be dangerous or risky for someone who has a chronic condition of any kind. I mean, I have students who have Parkinson's. I have a student who has had 4 surgeries in his lower back. So it's fused. The 4 lowest vertebrae are fused in his lower back. A woman with lung issue, chronic lung issues. So, Qigong is really adaptable to any condition, really any condition. Yeah.
Thanks.
Tai Chi as well. Tai Chi is just a form of Qigong.
Oh, okay.
Some good, by the way, I just want to add, if you go on the NOF website, they will tell you which kinds of exercises to avoid. And that could be helpful when you're doing anything from,
That
I have a
reminds me
question.
that go ahead, Jane.
If so much is responsible within your kidneys, like energy and depletion and so on and so forth, what happens with people who have kidney replacements?
The thing is that even if you've had an organ removed, you still have the energy meridian present. So there's really not a big effect if you've had a kidney transplant. Even, some people will say to me, well, I don't have a spleen anymore, so we're doing exercises for the spleen, but you still have the energetic organ is still there. The energy pathway is still there.
interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. I was going to also just reminded me to give you some resources, something to read about coherence breath, and maybe I can just put it in the chat or email it to Shelley. I have a couple of really great books by Jon Kabat-Zinn. I don't know if you've heard of him. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, very, very good practice to develop. And he's written other books on mindfulness and meditation, which are really helpful. And then Healing Power of the Breath, which gives you, a real good information on coherence breath and how to do it and the benefits of using it as a form of meditation.
That's what I was going to ask you, Betty. I was wondering the difference between coherence breathing and meditation. If there is one.
I've combined them. I consider coherence breath a form of meditation because you're focusing your mind on your breath, which I think is probably the most ideal, the ideal type of meditation, at least for me. That's my personal. So coherence breath is breathing at a rate of 5 breaths per minute. And you use an assist, you use a tool to help you to do that. And those, in my particular case, I use the bells. It's it's an app or a download you can get, just Google it. Just go Google 2 bells and you will get it. And what is meditation? Meditation is focusing on your breath. It's focusing your mind on your breath. And so to me, they go hand in hand. They're really a perfect complement. Not that I don't do other types of meditation, but that's my go-to.
Well, thank you. It's very helpful. Does anyone else want to ask a question of Betty? Or make a comment? Anybody enjoy that tonight? You can unmute and clap.
Well, I hope that you took something that will help you, and happy to answer, any questions you have. And I certainly will send to Shelley all of the printed material I have, especially I have a lot of printed material on the kidneys and the water element.
I'm noticing that you've gotten some feedback in the chat. I don't know if you've noticed that. And lots of gratitude. And then Lola said, would you share the printed items you mentioned, the list of acidic and other foods also?
Yes, I will happily do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot, there's a lot of information that I've gathered from many sources, from the standpoint of, Chinese medicine and the kidneys. So I will happily share all of that. I can add to it the resources, from John Kabat-Zinn and the healing power of the breath. And I teach Qigong on Zoom. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to Shelley.
I'm glad to share that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you, Betty.
Lisa, do you have a question, or is that, oh no, is that a high five or is that a question? I don't even know.
I was texting something. I didn't realize that my screen was on. Yeah. To you, texting to you. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much. It was
welcome.
really,
Thank you,
really
Betty.
wonderful.
We appreciate
You're
you
welcome.
being on
You're welcome.
tonight and all of your help and your research and your knowledge. It was fabulous. Thank you.
You're
very
welcome. I know you have another segment of your program tonight, so I know you'll enjoy that. And I'm grateful to Shelley for inviting me. I've listened to some of the recordings of your previous presentations, and I'm just impressed by this group, and you're all making a difference in your own lives, but people are joining, coming, hearing about it, and learning some things for themselves too. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll send everything to Shelley, and she can send it on to you.
Appreciate
Okay.
it. I appreciate it, Betty. Have a great night, Betty.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Betty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was wonderful, isn't it? I can tell by your feedback that you appreciated hearing that. I like to just for a minute check in with you as well. I want to say I do think meditation is a wonderful gift also. I wonder how many of you do that already, do something like Qigong or meditate. Does anybody else do that as well? That's great. That's really good. I wonder how many of you, just out of curiosity, does anybody have any kidney issues on this group? Anybody ever have a kidney infection or anything like that? Or just curious. And she talked about the kidneys. Okay, well, that's good. But isn't that an interesting thing that the organs? Did you raise your hand, Lisa? No. Oh, you're muted, Lisa. Lisa, you're
Sorry.
muted.
No kidney issues.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Well, let's keep it
All
that way. That's great. Okay, so I'd love to hear from you. I know we all have had different things happen this month. Does anybody want to share a little bit about what's going on for them? something new happen in your life with your status, or good and bad, good and I think sharing is good. Lisa?
Well, I finally got back to the YMCA indoor pool right near where I live. I wasn't there for the whole year plus because I was afraid, even when people started going back. So you might say it was my form of meditation, because I have pulsatile tinnitus and it makes it hard to meditate. And I wear a headband that has flat earbuds in it in the pool, or I was up until recently, and I realized just being in the pool and not listening to a podcast, just enjoying the sensation of the water, the gratitude that I have this place right nearby, the nice people I've met there. It's not impact, bone hitting the ground, but I have a torn meniscus, so I'll do this, and we don't know how much that impact really does. That's a lot of it is just we hope, but I'm just very grateful, and thank you. This was perfect, I think, to have somebody to help us relax and focus on what we can do to help ourselves.
Yeah. Great. Great. It's definitely helped me have a positive attitude, I know, in my own life. So definitely all the things she talked about, though, I do feel that makes a big difference. Thank you for sharing that, though. And I could just imagine you in the water, Lisa. It does, being in, it doesn't mean everything you do has to be high impact. You gotta have some fun too. Anybody, thank you. That's great. Anybody would like to share where they are? Love to hear from you.
Well, I don't have anything to share, but my dilemma is only I don't know decision I should taking meds or wait for some time. That is what I am right now. Any of you take medicines in this group? Yeah.
Okay. Rika, Gail, Amy, Jane, anybody else?
What I was gonna say, and I think I told you I have to leave a little bit early, so I need to cut, but I was just expressing to my husband a day ago that I was very grateful that I had finished 9 months of my 18 months of the medication. I'm taking Timlos. I was very afraid to take it when I started. And it took me a number of months to get there but it's been, for me, I haven't had any problems at all. So I was feeling pretty appreciative of that. So
you've already practiced gratitude.
Yeah.
Today, right?
I was, yes.
There you go.
Yes. So.
Okay, thank you, Rika. Thanks
Yes.
for letting me know. Yeah.
All right.
And Amy, you're taking too.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chitra.
Sorry. And who raised their hand? Amy is taking. Amy is on medication too. Most.
Yeah, I'm taking Boniva right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that have you taken any medication before that, or this is?
Oh, this is my the first medication. Yeah.
How are you doing, Amy? And I didn't.
Regarding the meditation or general?
Well, just in general.
Oh, in general. Well, actually, I'm feeling better now. I had a appendectomy about 3 weeks ago. So I have been resting, so
Oh, geez.
yeah, terrible. But anyway, it was caught, on time, and went to emergency, get it took off. So yeah, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Didn't, burst or
Other
something.
side of that, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but only thing is, all my exercise, everything is stopped for 3 weeks now. So I'm thinking about resume, but it's quite difficult. Yesterday I tried to do a little bit and qigong, just for the standing pose, only for like 3 or 4 minutes. I can't stand anymore. I usually can do like at least 15 minutes. So it's 3 weeks really pushing me back a lot.
So how long have you been doing qigong?
Almost 9 months.
Wow, it's
Yeah, it's I think it's good. I really like it.
I do too.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
Years.
yeah. I also do a little meditation. So yeah, so I'm looking forward. 3 more days. I got okay to do exercise. So right now I can't do a lot of things. So.
Really good.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Glad you're on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Mastectomy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I know, unbelievable. It's shocking. My age. So.
Wow. Enrique, I didn't mean to cut you short. Did you want to say anything else that's going on for you?
No, everything else is good.
Everything's good.
Yes. Thank
Glad
you.
to hear it. Glad to hear it. And how about you, Gail?
So Chitra, yeah, I've started that Forteo.
Oh,
I'm about in my 4th month, and that is a daily injection. I was real hesitant to go on anything, especially something, that's a daily injectable. But no issues, no problems with the injections or the medication, side effects, nothing. So this is supposed to have a good reputation for building bone back up. And the maximum amount of time you can be on it is like 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I've
So
heard
is
they've
this your
extended
first
that
medication?
because
I'm
I've
sorry.
heard they took the black box warning off of Forteo,
They
and
did.
you can be on it longer now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Quiet.
Rika, right?
Yes.
You're in Timlos also?
Timlos, yeah, which is very similar to, it's just a
Right, that's what
newer.
I'm on. That's
Right.
what I'm on. Have you had any muscle aches?
No,
No, okay.
nothing significant. Yeah.
Trying to decide if my muscle aches are from that or from a different medication.
Oh,
I have
okay.
3 different medications that all list that as side effects. So I don't know which one's causing it.
Yeah.
did you go on all of them at the same time?
Yeah. So I think maybe the Timlos sort of put it over the edge.
How long have you been on it?
I started at the beginning of March.
Okay.
I didn't start having the muscle aches until more recently.
Where
Well, actually, I was having some, but it got really worse recently.
are the muscle aches?
In my legs mostly, but also in my upper arms. And
Mhm.
my knees are killing me all the time.
Have you
Well, I don't
mentioned
know
that?
about my knees. They say your joints can bother you, but both of my knees are knee replacements. So I don't know how, if knee replacement being not your natural joint, of how they would bother you. I'm going to have to ask my my orthopedic doctor's physician assistant about that.
Have you mentioned to your endocrinologist that you have muscle aches?
Actually, I did, but then I thought they weren't that bad, but now they've gotten really worse the last few days, to the point where, like yesterday, I couldn't exercise at all because they were really hurting. So
Maybe they would know some things to do to help it.
I don't know. The other thing that's very common with Timlos is fluid retention. And I didn't have that till I was about 3 months in. And then I started having it. So I talked to my endocrinologist, and being a post-transplant patient, I have to watch everything. So I went off of Timlos for 2 weeks to see if that made a difference. And it did. As soon as being off Timlos, I did lose the fluid. So it was definitely a result of the Timlos. But a lot of people refer to it as puffy belly because it tends to go right to your belly. But
Mhm. Well, I guess while you're taking it, you can't wear a bikini.
yeah, but the side effects are a nuisance, but I also consider the Timlos to be pretty essential. So I don't want to get off of it.
I know. I've heard that's that's also one like Forteo.
Yeah,
It's a grows bone.
Forteo was like twice the price. So I pay $560 a month for Timlos on Medicare, and Forteo is going to be closer to 1,000.
Well, let's hope not, because I got to go on Medicare shortly. And right now I have a discount program through Lilly that it's only $4 a month.
Oh, God. Wow. No,
Yeah.
there are things available when you have private insurance that are no longer available if you're on Medicare.
Yeah, I hear that. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so,
Well,
when
I'm
sorry.
I was
Go
just going to say, I pay significantly less than that. I'm on Medicare, I'm 72, but I have a supplemental insurance plan that picks it up.
I have a supplemental insurance. I have Plan F, which is one of the top ones. But that's what I pay, and that's what I've heard a lot of people pay.
Yeah,
So you must have a really different supplemental.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm lucky.
Yeah, you are. Although mine will be going down because of the donor hole.
Yes.
Well, I hope you feel a little better, Jane, with that, and it subsides a little bit for you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Mhm.
You need to exercise, and then the medication's causing you to not be able to exercise. So, it's a double-edged sword or something. I don't know.
Maybe something slower, something not as impactful, like I like a qigong or something.
Yeah, I try to do a lot of walking, and I do some weight, exercises, that type of thing. I try to get about an hour in a day.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's great.
That's good.
Yeah. That's good. How's who else it hasn't said anything. I'd love to hear from everybody. But are you yeah. Did oops. Who have I missed? I don't know if we've heard from Susan yet, have we? I don't think so, Susan.
No, I guess this is my first regular meeting. I attended the special one last month, but so I guess like Chitra, I mean, I've had a very significant precipitous loss in bone mass. And so my doctor said, there's no more time to just keep hoping that exercise and doing good things are going to work, and it's time for medication. So I've been researching everything I could, and it's Forteo and Timlos are the first line of defense where you build some up, and then you have to take the one that scares me, which is reclassed, whatever locks it in, and the whole thing just scares the heck out of me. I have an appointment finally with my endocrinologist in person in a week, and I think he really feels strongly that I ought to start the medication, that it's just the downslope is too steep. And so I think I'm coming to terms with it. I think Timlos, according to my doctor, and I'm you know, everybody's got their own doctors and they've
Yeah.
read for studies, but my doctor said that my spine is a bigger issue than my hip right now. And so Timlos, the newer one, which I don't love new medicines. It's nice to have something with a really long track record.
Right. Yeah.
But when it comes to the spine, Timlos has shown a lot of promise. It's better if that's where you're focused. And so that's what he's pushing. And then we thought the decision would be made by my insurance company, because if they would only cover one and not the other, then that was pretty much what I was going to have to do. And fortunately, but also a little unfortunately, they said they'd cover either one. So now I really do have to decide with you know, discussion with him, sort of what I'm going to do. But I think just everything I've read about what happens when people break bones and they get older and they get less able to do things, and the risk of your life being impacted by that.
Yeah.
Is, you know, so, but the side effects, you know, I mean, it's like anything, but it's scary. And you're, at least my program, I'd be locked in for 4 years. I'd take 2 years worth of Timlos and then 2 years of reclassed. And then I don't know what happens. That's one of my questions.
Yeah.
Okay, and
what
then
happens? Yeah, then what happens? I
That's it.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we continue to do good lifestyle things. And I think sometimes they do allow you to take it again after a certain period of time. And if needed. And but for many people, I think those are good. You know, they want you to take the bisphosphonates after you take the.
So Susan, you don't have any fractures so far, right?
As far as I know, no. My back's been bugging me lately, and of course, you know, my doctor was saying, does your back bother you? And I said no, and then of course now it started bothering me, so I might be psychosomatic. But I know that it hurts to, you know, I've been reading up on how you're supposed to lift heavy things, not the way I've been doing it for sure. And you know, and I notice now that it really hurts to pick something up, and my granddaughter's getting heavy. So it's
that's important to pay attention to it. That's one of the worst things that one of the people we spoke to said, is to go from this position and then you know, and there's a lot of safe exercise motions that are much better than that. But anyway, I was going to say something else about your all right.
I have a question. So since everyone's taking like Timro or Patel, seems no one take like the traditional, the old Boniva or Fosamax. So I just wondering why you guys, you know, your doctor just directly gave you this, you know, more newer medicine, it's better, or your T-score is much lower. I have a very bad T-score in my spine, like -4.2. But my doctor first just gave me Fosamax, which I didn't take 3 years ago until last year. He said, you have to take it. But he only gave me like Boniva because it's easy once a month. So I just wondering you guys, so how your doctor just give you, prescribe this one, or you request for this newer medicine?
My sister is taking Fosamax. A lot of people find Fosamax to be a problem in their, it can bother your esophagus and upset your stomach. A lot, you know, there's certain things though that if you really follow them, should help with that, like sitting upright for a certain amount of time and drinking a lot of water. And she's doing all that and she has had no problem. So, you know, it does get prescribed still. You don't hear Boniva much though.
Yeah, I just wondering because my doctor said, okay, you can choose either Boniva or Fosamax. I say, okay, what's the difference? He said, well, for you, your problem mainly is on your spine, not your hip. My hip is also low, but it's not as worse as my spine. And he said, okay, Fosamax is like weekly, once a week. but Boniva is once a month. I said, well, I take the easy once a month. So that's how I take, because I don't want to take either of them. But I didn't, before I take these 2 medications, I don't even, there's other choices like. So yeah, now I see, oh, there's other new medication, so seems better.
Doctors really seem to be favoring reclass, probably
Oh.
because it's just once a year.
Hmm.
No.
You know, one other thing I was going to say that I couldn't remember what I was about to say is when you have some back pain, I mean, not that this is always going to help, but, sometimes it's good to change your shoes more frequently during the day. So if you start out with, a thick paired sole shoe, like I love using Jungle Mocks. They're from Merrell, and they're not that attractive.
What are
but
they called?
They're called Jungle Mocks, and they're from Merrell. And I don't work for them, but I just like using them because they have a good thick sole. And I've heard there's sneakers that now have much thicker soles, like Hoka, Hoka, and even some of the other brands, like Asics. They have, each line has a thicker sneaker. But what I find for me personally is that when we have our house has a lot of tile in it, and it gets wearing on my back. I don't know if any of you experience that. My hips too. But when I'm home a lot during the day, what I do is I change my shoes a lot, because sometimes it bothers me after a while in one can shift in another. So I don't know if that'll help anybody.
That's
but
a good idea, though.
And then also I throw my shoes out when they get thinner or that they're worn out. I used to like hold on to them forever. I don't do that anymore. I just throw them out.
Shelley, question. So 2 questions. One, I was just curious, like Susan, it's my first, as you know, my first like official meeting. I was also just at the catch up last time. So I'd written in the chat. I was surprised to see that this is being recorded. I thought maybe this part wouldn't be recorded.